Hello, Emery. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Better.
So you are in France, right? You are in
Yeah,
Paris?
exactly. In Paris right now. And you are in Brussels?
In Brussels, yes, in
Huh?
Belgium. Could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are and what you do?
So my name is Emery Delmotte. I come from France. I've had stuttering, I think, since I was 4 or 5, and it didn't it didn't restrict me from achieving some of my dreams and living abroad from when I was 18 to 29. And right now I work as a product owner, which is a role in the technological products world, in which you have to lead a lot of meetings and talk to many people.
That can be so challenging if you stutter.
Exactly.
Did you always wanted to be an entrepreneur? And stuttering impact your career choice in any way?
Right now, my role it's a bit like entrepreneurship, and being an entrepreneur is one of my dream, and it wasn't always the case, in the sense that during many years I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I had no idea what I could do. And so little by little, I realized that I wanted to be independent, and I realized that I wanted to still talk with people and share, and I didn't want to be, basically I didn't want to close down on myself, just because of my stuttering. And from when I was 18, actually, I started to challenge myself in many different ways. So for example, I joined student organizations, and I was on the board, and I would actually push myself to speak in front of others, and to take leadership positions. And so all in all, I think that stuttering, it's an additional difficulty, but it's not necessarily a hindrance. It's not necessarily a block, as long as you know what you want. And the knowing what you want doesn't necessarily mean that you have to know what you want to do as a career choice. It means that you just need to know what you want to do on the spot. And on the spot, years ago, I wanted to challenge myself, and so I kept doing it again and again.
Did something happen that really made you want to change? Like some event or someone said something, or this was just you one day woke up and felt like, you know what, I have to change?
This is very difficult to answer, because I think, we are all the product of who we are, and of the environment we grew up in. Yeah, it's I always wanted more. I always kind of refused to just be someone with stuttering, and I always well, it's a very emotional process, I think, but I couldn't accept to be just that. I wanted to be someone else. I wanted to be respected, and I wanted to be
To be heard.
yeah, exactly, being heard, and I wanted to be able to communicate and express myself, and that was difficult for many years. And actually, it remained difficult until more or less 1 year ago. So it's still it's very new to me that I can actually talk about stuttering and about feelings in a way that is not I think that is not
Like
over
right?
Exactly. It's not based on reaction. It's based on the fact that I accept many things that I didn't accept earlier.
What do you consider to be the most interesting part of your job, and why?
Okay, so I am very detail oriented, and I really like to learn more about how things work. Like it's really a thing for me. It's so when I was a kid, I would actually dismantle my toys or my computer just to see how things were inside of it. So as a product owner, I'm not a technical person. I represent the business side of things in products creation, and I get to have peaks inside the technical world. So actually, my role is to understand the business needs and to translate them into to reformulate them in a way that programmers, developers, technical people can understand them and actually create products based on what I communicate to them. And so I get to see the big pictures because I know the technical side of things, thanks to constantly being in touch with developers, and I know the business side of things thanks to constantly being in touch with, for example, key accounts managers or directors, or so I get to know more or less everything about my products, and it puts me in a position of person who knows, and I like that a lot.
No, that sounds super awesome. But is this a product that you came up with this idea to create it? Like, how was this whole process?
Okay, so the way we do it is that we start with needs. So we go to talk to many people, and we ask them, okay, what do you need? And based on the needs we collect, we try to prioritize and say, okay, so for the most expressed needs and the most the need with the most value is this one. And so then we think about how to answer to these needs with like features or technology or whatever, and then we actually formulate what the way we want to answer to this need. I don't think it's very clear, so I will give a tangible example. Okay, so for example, let's pretend I'm someone with a stutter, and I express the need of okay, what could go with stuttering and technology? Let's say I want to know exactly on what letters or on what sound do I stutter in order to learn techniques and tricks to not stutter on these letters. For example, I stutter a lot on C words like k sounds, and so whenever I face these sounds, I actually have to use some techniques to not stutter on them. And so, for example, so as a product owner, I would actually think about a feature that could maybe register our speech, and then that could analyze every time the microphone would hear a block, it could register it, and then it could maybe parse the data and say, okay, so that block was on a K sound or on a sound, or whatever. And then based on that, it could say, okay, so you stutter the most on you stutter the most on P's or on T's, or, and then we could actually have an analysis of our own stuttering and work on ourselves based on that. So that would be the example of feature I could come up with. And then the next stage for me would be to communicate this to developers, and then I will have to make mockups. So to make a kind of wireframe, or to make drawings, or just use software to show what I would like them to develop. And then I will have to think about business rules. For example, when you click on this button, this happens, and you go to this screen, which displays such and such data, and so on. So I have to think about all of these by myself, first of all. Once it's clear for me, I actually phrase it in a way that developers can understand and that makes sense to them. So it should be as clear as possible. And once they start developing, my role is to test everything and to make sure that everything works perfectly. And after that, I'm in charge of saying, okay, it works, we release it, and of communicating with people about our release and about our products. So it's a very broad role.
You lived in many countries and you speak several languages. How living abroad helped you to grow professionally?
Okay, so I will start with this. I don't think living abroad helped me to grow professionally. For me, it actually made it more difficult to communicate to my employers about my experience, because they would look at my resume and think, okay, so you went to this country and that country, and then you kept jumping and kept changing, so you might do that again, right? And so so rather than speaking about growing professionally, I would speak about growing personally. And I will divide it into two parts. First, how it helped me as a person, and then how what were the situations I had to face as someone with a stutter. So the first part, basically, it was a dream I had to live abroad, and since I achieved it, I feel free to move on with something else now. I don't think anymore, okay, so I should do it, or I should plan for it someday at some point of my life. It's done. It's achieved, and I got many things from it, and now I'm actually able to focus on the next part of my life. And it feels very nice to have all these experience inside of me, all these memories, and to feel that even though I'm home, I actually still have all these years of living abroad as a part of who I am. And then the second point, living abroad and stuttering. Well, so I spent 5 years living in Japan, and I wanted to learn Japanese, and I did.
Any specific reason on why you wanted to go?
Yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I liked the feelings and the energy I got from Japan. I liked the architecture, and I believe I wanted to explore how living their reality was. And so as someone with a stutter, obviously, learning a language wouldn't be that easy. But basically what I did is that I ignored the fact that I had a stutter despite having to face it every day. And well, the most frustrating and the most painful is when you know the sentences and you know the words, but you try to express them and the people facing you have a blank look on their face. And well, Japanese people being very polite, they would just nod and say, "Ah, I see," and at least there would be some reaction, which is I think which is better than when people just stay silent and look away, and there's this awkward silence, and you don't know if you have to break it or not, and you don't know if you have to pursue with what you were saying or not. So there would be some kind of reaction, which would not be the reaction I expected, because they wouldn't understand what I was trying to say, and that would be frustrating.
When we are living abroad and we get blocked in our speech, people think that we don't know this.
Exactly, we don't know the language.
No.
Stuttering while learning a new language is definitely more challenging, and you have to deal with feelings that others don't have to deal with. So frustration, and then feeling diminished, and then feeling that you have to try harder and everything. But yeah, so it's important to learn to cope with these.
Do you feel that you stutter more in one language than in some other languages?
I think it's the same. Sometimes I feel more comfortable speaking in French, which is my native language, because I feel like I have a better mastery of how to make the sounds with my mouth, and how to position my muscles correctly. But all in all, I think it's the same.
So in which countries did you live? You lived in Japan for 5 years, and then where else did you live?
Okay, so first of all was Canada. So I studied there for 4 years, and then I was in Mongolia for 1 year, and after that I did some internship in China for 3 months, and then I went to Japan for 5 years and a half, and then I got back to France.
How was it feeling to go back to France after traveling the world, like after being abroad for so long?
It was actually much more challenging for me to go back to France than to go from a country to another, because well, the way I see it is that I was kind of fleeing away from something, and going back to France meant that I had to face it, and to face who I was, to face my family, to face my country, to face feelings that I had been fleeing away from for many years. And so it was actually much more challenging for me to go back, but it was more difficult to settle down. But I think I only really became a full-fledged adult once I was done with this step, because I learned to process some feelings, and I learned to find a continuity between who I was and who I am now.
Mm-hmm. I understand. Yeah, it definitely helps to to grow and to mature as a person. When you live by yourself, you have no one else to really help you with everything. I think it does help a lot. And how did you handle the challenge of like stuttering to achieve professional success and to become a public speaker?
Okay, so public speaking. I always pushed myself to be to take up new challenges, and so I don't know. I always wanted to be heard, and I think that stuttering triggers a lot of emotions. For example, for many years, for me, it was anger or frustration or fear or very negative things. And actually, I find that you can use these negative emotions in a more positive ways. For example, if you use these feelings to as a kind of of fuel to keep moving forward and to not accept the current situation, but to keep looking forward for more and for self-improvement, and to keep trying to work on yourself. So it's a very emotional process, because on the one hand you have a lot of negative emotions, on the other hand you don't accept yourself as who you are, but on another side of things you want to keep improve. And so for me it was a mix of all these things that kept me pushing forward for more, and that kept me putting myself into situations that were definitely outside of my comfort zones, but that would eventually lead me to be someone I wanted to be. So yeah, it's it's a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of fear. I think it's a lot of having to face fear and thinking, okay, I'm afraid of it, and it's fine with it. It will be difficult, but I would go for it.
But how do you react when you are talking?
Yeah, and I stutter.
Yes, and then people keep looking at you like, do you feel people really like accept, or they are fine with it, or do you feel there is still people feel uncomfortable with someone like stuttering?
It depends a lot on the situation. I think that at school people were it was much more awkward for me at school, because I think I would be more afraid of it, more afraid of being judged, and of afraid of being rejected, or of being weird, or all these feelings. And after you leave school, I think that you find out, well, you start to understand that people are just people, and they don't care if you stutter. At least most of them don't, and the one who care and who judge you negatively are just them, and you have to ignore them. So it's the atmosphere you face in really depends on the situation. And so I think that there are two things. One, if you feel bad about it, and if you are afraid of it, if you feel uncomfortable with your stutter, it will show, and people will get these feelings from you, because you will transmit them, your fears and your incomfort. So as long as you are comfortable with your stutter, and that it doesn't show, and that the fact that you are uncomfortable with it doesn't show, well, if you are comfortable with it, then it's all right then, because you are laid back, and you the energy you give to people and the atmosphere you build through your speech is actually positive, and you show people that stutter is a part of you, and that it makes communication more difficult, but it doesn't make communication impossible. And so people definitely do have to make an effort to understand you, but it's most of them, I think, are willing to do this effort.
What elements were key for you to not give up on your career dreams and to achieve them?
My career dreams, for many years, I didn't have any. The only dreams I had was to travel. I wanted to travel and to live abroad, and that's it. I just wanted that, so I focused on that, and I shaped my dreams, my career dreams based on what I found while I was traveling, and I was lucky enough to be exposed to startups and entrepreneurship, and yeah, and starting your own business abroad. And I thought, okay, that sounds cool. Actually, I would like to do that. And although I'm not doing it right now, I am still considering and planning doing it some days. But I want to plan it well and to make sure that this is the right thing for me and that it happens at the right time for myself.
That's cool. So you were exposed to this entrepreneurship world. How? In which way?
Firstly, when I was a student, I would be very exposed to leadership and to being independent, and I would actually attend conferences based on that, based on entrepreneurship, leadership, and everything, because it meant independence. It meant having to grow up and to work on yourself. It meant going outside of your comfort zone, and it felt like the right thing to do. It felt like it would teach me more about myself. And after that, when I was in Japan, a friend of mine introduced me to how's it called, a startup accelerator, and I was able to do an internship with them, and so I was very exposed then with startups and with entrepreneurs and ventures and everything, and so I was able to share with them and to get insight from them, and I would understand how the joys, but also the challenges of the entrepreneurship path. And yeah, I think that being an entrepreneur, it's difficult, but it also let's say that it allows you to build it allows you to make real what you have in your mind, and I think that's what I'm looking for. It's a bit like being an artist, basically, like when you can have this idea inside of you and you're able to paint it or to shape it with clay, or I don't know. But I draw very badly, and I definitely lack any artistic skills. So I think the way I have to express what I have inside of me would be entrepreneurship.
What advice would you give to people who stutter, who are currently like struggling to get a job, or they completely gave up on their career dreams because of stuttering? What could you tell them?
I would say that stuttering it's a part of you, and you have to accept it because it's here and it's here to stay. But it doesn't define who you are. You are much more than your stuttering. You are your dreams. You are what you like and what you don't like. You are what you do every day. And for example, I stutter every day, but I do so many more things. And I think it's about giving, it's about being able to give importance to everything else you do, and to make it more valuable than the value you get off from your stutter. So it's a balance in a way. I think it's about being to understand that it's a part of things. It's a part of your life, but some people have it worse. Some people have more issues. Some people have more difficulties, more challenges, and actually many people have challenges, but we just don't see, or that are not easily, that aren't visible. And ours happen to be, well, it's not visible at first because it's not visible because you cannot see it, but it's audible, and it's just that our hindrance is like people don't see them at first, and then they get into, they connect with it once you start talking. And I think it's important to understand that most people don't know how to react to stutter, because they don't. I mean, we have to face it every day of our life, but most people don't get to deal with it. And so when they are in touch with someone who stutters, they don't know how to react, and they react in a way that we interpret as harmful or as frustrating. So it's also our role to know our stuttering. It's our role to be able to educate people on it, and we shouldn't be passive regarding our stutter. We should be proactive. We should say, okay, so I mean, we should be able to explain to people that we have a stutter, that it's all right, that there are reactions that makes you feel comfortable, but there are also reactions that makes you feel uncomfortable. And we should understand that people won't understand these things right away. I mean, I don't understand my stutter myself, so how can I expect someone else to understand it well and to react immediately the way I would like them to? It's impossible. So being patient and being acceptance of the fact that there are as many potential reactions as there are people in the world is primordial, I think.
Thank you so much, Emery.
Thank
It
you,
has been a
Raiani.
pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for sharing your life experience and your professional experiences as well. Thank you. I look
Thank
forward.
you, Raiani. Yes. Thank you, then.
Emery. Thank you. Bye bye.
Have
Have a good day.
good day. Bye.
Bye.